A pale crustacean crawls through permanent darkness, carrying energy ultimately purchased from a world it cannot see. Its habitat has removed sunlight, but evolution has not removed the biological cost of that absence. Without photosynthesis nearby, food becomes scarce, sensory information changes, and reproduction must succeed across vast empty spaces. The central mystery asks what deep life gains from darkness, and what every adaptation forces it to surrender. If you entered this habitat, cold and silence would conceal a relentless budget of energy. Evolution cannot plan that budget. Selection preserves inherited variations that reproduce under local conditions. Traits useful near the surface may become wasteful below, while dark-adapted traits create new vulnerabilities. The investigation follows these exchanges through eyes, metabolism, feeding, growth, and the timing of reproduction. No single deep-sea lifestyle exists because vents, caves, sediments, and open water receive energy differently. Our dominant path crosses the sunless open ocean, where most food descends from photosynthetic layers above. Each falling particle has already lost energy to grazers, microbes, and respiration before reaching deeper animals. Marine snow arrives as fragments of plankton, fecal material, mucus, minerals, and other organic debris. Carcasses and large waste parcels create richer but unpredictable pulses across the seafloor. Darkness, therefore, begins not merely as missing light, but as distance from primary production. The first evolutionary cost is living on a thinner and less reliable energy stream. Direct measurements show organic flux generally declining with depth. As particles are consumed and decomposed, animals respond by lowering routine expenditure, increasing feeding efficiency, or storing energy between rare meals. A giant isopod detects carrion, approaches rapidly, feeds extensively, and may endure a long interval afterward. The cue is chemical, the action opportunistic, and the consequence is survival through unpredictable delivery. Large meals cannot eliminate uncertainty, so tissues and behavior must tolerate extended scarcity. Many deep fishes have reduced musculature and watery bodies that are inexpensive to maintain. This economy reduces cruising costs, but may limit sustained speed. Compared with active surface predators, an ambush predator waits, detects a close disturbance, strikes briefly, and avoids expensive pursuit. The adaptation conserves energy. The consequence is dependence on prey, entering a narrow encounter zone. Temperature, size, and ancestry also influence metabolic rate, so darkness alone cannot explain every pattern. The verified context is an energy gradient modified by habitat rather than a universal law of sluggishness. Vision presents a second exchange because eyes are valuable only when usable photons justify their construction. In caves and buried habitats without bioluminescence, lineages may evolve reduced eyes and pigmentation. Mutations affecting unused structures can persist when their costs exceed their remaining benefits. Resources then shift toward touch, smell, vibration sensing, or other traits improving local survival. Cavefish senses water displacement, turns toward prey, and captures it without forming a visual image. The gain is effective dark foraging. The cost is poor performance if light later becomes informative. Eye reduction can also arise through linked developmental pathways, making its evolutionary accounting more complex. In the open deep sea, bioluminescence prevents complete visual abandonment for many species. Some animals evolve large, sensitive eyes that capture scarce photons, but those eyes require tissue and neural processing. Enhanced sensitivity often sacrifices spatial resolution or speed because receptors gather photons across larger areas or longer intervals. You may notice a flash instantly, while the animal's eye is optimized for signals far dimmer than yours. This is not superior vision in every sense, but a specialized compromise tuned to faint light. The same compromise can saturate or perform poorly under bright illumination from approaching vehicles. Feeding structures reveal another cost when rare encounters reward swallowing unusually large prey. Expandable stomachs, hinged jaws, and long teeth increase capture capacity in several deep-sea fishes. A black swallower seizes a large fish, expands its stomach, and gains energy from an infrequent opportunity. The strategy carries danger because oversized meals can impair movement or fail during digestion. Extreme anatomy also consumes developmental material and may constrain which prey can be handled safely. These forms are documented, but each species should be interpreted from observed anatomy and feeding evidence. Not every large mouth indicates gluttony. Some enlarged jaws sweep small prey from sparse water. The gulper eel expands its mouth during feeding, increasing capture area while retaining a slender body. Its action solves encounter scarcity, yet low swimming power limits prolonged pursuit. Here again, darkness alters energy economics rather than demanding a single monstrous design. Reproduction may be the hardest exchange because potential mates are dispersed and encounters are difficult to repeat. Chemical cues, bioluminescent signals, and sound can extend detection, though evidence varies across species. In some deep-sea anglerfishes, a small male bites a female and permanently fuses with her tissues. He detects a host, attaches, joins circulatory systems in certain lineages, and becomes a reliable sperm source. The consequence is reproductive assurance, purchased through loss of independent feeding and adult autonomy. This sexual parasitism evolved in only part of anglerfish diversity and should never represent all deep fishes. Other species remain separate, synchronize spawning, or produce signals that help mates locate one another. Large eggs and low fecundity can provision young well, but each offspring then represents greater parental investment. Numerous tiny eggs spread risk broadly, yet most larvae may fail before reaching suitable habitat. Without complete life histories, scientists cannot assign one optimal reproductive strategy to permanent darkness. Larvae sometimes rise into brighter, food-rich layers before returning deeper as they grow. This movement gains nourishment and dispersal, but exposes young to visual predators and unfamiliar temperatures. Remaining deep avoids that journey, but restricts food and may reduce geographic exchange. Isolation can divide populations, allowing local adaptation while increasing vulnerability to disturbance. Evolutionary costs appear whenever a successful specialization narrows alternative futures. Chemosynthetic habitats complicate the energy story by supporting production without sunlight at vents and cold seeps. Microbes use chemical reactions involving compounds such as hydrogen sulfide or methane to build organic matter. Tube worms, mussels, and other animals can partner with these microbes or graze upon them. A vent tube worm exposes a plume to oxygenated water, supplies internal symbionts, and receives organic compounds. The adaptation opens a rich local energy source, but ties survival to chemical flow and symbiotic function. When a vent becomes inactive, specialists may lose habitat faster than ordinary deep sediment communities. Chemosynthesis bypasses local sunlight, yet oxygen used in many pathways ultimately reflects photosynthetic planetary history. Sunless living is therefore not always complete energetic independence from the illuminated earth above. The ecological consequence is a mosaic of slow plains, punctuated by temporary falls and geochemical oases. Scavengers, deposit feeders, predators, and symbiotic animals partition resources across that changing mosaic. Their low-energy adaptations influence carbon storage by controlling how rapidly sinking material is consumed. Disturbance can be costly because slow growth and delayed reproduction lengthen recovery after mortality. Deep-sea corals may build complex habitat without sunlight, relying on captured particles and prey. If trawling breaks those structures, regeneration can take far longer than the initial impact. Prospective mining could remove substrate and alter sediment across communities whose renewal rates remain uncertain. For you, darkness may look empty, but sparse encounters make each occupied surface ecologically significant. Climate-driven changes in surface productivity can alter the amount and quality of food reaching depth. Ocean warming and oxygen loss may shift metabolic costs, distributions, and the layers animals can occupy. Predicted responses remain species-specific because physiology, dispersal, and food web connections differ. Future evidence must connect measured energy intake with growth, movement, and reproductive success across full lifetimes. Long-term observatories can record arrivals of food pulses and the community responses that follow. Pressure-retaining studies may reveal metabolism without damage caused by collection and decompression. Stable chemical tracers can reconstruct diets, though they cannot alone show how prey was captured. Genomic comparisons may identify changes linked with eye loss or metabolism, but experiments must test their effects. Researchers need more observations of mating, development, and juvenile survival in natural deep habitats. Many dramatic adaptations are known mainly from adult specimens, leaving their lifetime costs poorly measured. Comparing close relatives across depth can reveal which changes accompany repeated transitions away from sunlight. Such comparisons must separate darkness from cold, pressure, oxygen, and food availability. The strongest tests will quantify both benefits and sacrifices. Instead of naming unusual anatomy and adaptation by appearance, some traits may reflect ancestry, developmental constraint, or genetic drift rather than current advantage. Return to the pale crustacean, crossing sediment beneath an invisible rain of organic particles. It gains refuge from visual hunters, but waits upon energy transformed far above its world. What you see as absence has reorganized its senses, pace, feeding opportunities, and reproductive choices. Every successful trait solves one local problem while spending energy or surrendering performance somewhere else. The balance changes when food falls, vents fail, predators arrive, or environmental boundaries move. Living without sunlight is not evolution's escape from cost, but a continuing trade among scarce possibilities.